Good afternoon, everyone. The February 10th, 2026 regular council meeting is called to order at 4 o'clock. Council would like to acknowledge the Ucluelethat on whose traditional territories the District of Ucluelet operates. Audience members and delegates are advised that this proceeding is being video recorded and broadcast on YouTube and Zoom, which may store data on foreign servers. There are 2 late items. Did everyone get those? So I will move that the agenda for the February 10th, 2026 regular council meeting be amended by adding the late item titled Lot 13, First Light, Request to Amend Rental Housing Agreement and DCC Reduction under the report section as 8.8. And that the agenda for the February 10th, 2026 regular council meeting be amended by adding the late item titled George Taylor Reconstruction Work Hemlock Drive under the correspondence section as item 10.3. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Noel seconds. All in favor? None opposed. That carries. May I have a motion to adopt the February 10th, 2026 regular council meeting agenda as amended?
So moved.
Councillor Anderson? Councillor Noel, all in favor? None opposed. That carries. Welcome, Councillor Mafty. There are 2 sets of meeting minutes for adoption. Are there any errors or omissions on either of those? Seeing none, I will move that the minutes of January 26th, 2026 special council meeting be adopted as presented. Do I have a seconder?
Second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. All in favor? None opposed. That carries. And I will move that the minutes of January 27th, 2026 regular council meeting be adopted as presented.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. All in favor? None opposed. That carries. Do we have Councillor Mafty online?
He is online. We just promoted him to a panelist, so he should be allowed to talk.
Is there any unfinished business? No, seeing none. There are 3 bylaw items on the agenda today. The first bylaw item is titled District of Ucluelet Wildlife Attractant Bylaw number 1390, 2026. And it will be presented by Abby Fortune, Director of Community Services.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Good afternoon. Before you have a recommendation for 3 readings for the Ucluelet Wildlife Attractant Bylaw number 1390. As you are aware, despite the educational works carried out by WildSafe BC, data from 2025 indicates a significant increase in human-wildlife conflict in the Ucluelet area. At the November 25th Committee of the Whole meeting, the Conservation Office Services and the WildSafe BC Pacific Rim presented statistics and identified strategies for mitigating these encounters moving forward. Staff have been working with the Conservation Officer and WildSafe BC to identify strategies and programs to reduce the risk of human-wildlife contact and secure refuse and organics. One of the strategies is this bylaw. Additionally, staff have been working with the Conservation Officer for the region to potentially contract a wildlife safety response officer, quite a mouthful, for the District of Ucluelet. The proposal is for a 5-year contract starting at $47,754 with an annual increase of 2%. The contract would be approximately 4 months or 700 hours, or what equates to 100 days. The role of the Wildlife Safety Response Officer would be to provide a broad range of outreach in programs, public relations, safety and environmental law enforcement services, as well as working with WildSafe BC. Given the regional movement of wildlife across the peninsula, staff suggests the District of Ucluelet formally engage with Alberni Clackett Regional District and the District of Tofino to explore partnerships for this contract as outlined in the additional recommendation today. The proposed wildlife attractant bylaw number 1390 provides a comprehensive regulatory framework to manage human-wildlife interactions by controlling access to non-natural food sources. And in our audience today, we've got Chris from WildSafe BC, and we've got Drew Milne from the conservation officers. They're here as resources for questions. Any questions?
Great, thank you, Ms. Fortune.
You're welcome.
I'm really pleased to see the recommendation number 4 that we reach out to the ACRD and the District of Tofino to help with this program.
That's good.
Questions for staff? Councillor Noel?
You know, I love it. I think it's it's necessary. I did have some questions regarding the fines in the bylaw itself. Obviously, this bylaw has been taken from Tofino,
Correct.
and one of the things I just wanted to get clarity on in the Appendix A, it made a mention regarding self-closing or self-latching lots, bins. I'm familiar with the styles of bins in town, so I just I didn't like the description. It kind of looks like that they're both the word self for both of them is there, where there's a lot of garbage cans in town that are not self-locking. They're
Sorry,
not.
through the mayor, can you give me the number on that one,
Yeah,
please?
that's Schedule A, page 30. I'm not going to hold up the process because of that. I just wanted to point out a couple little items there that if someone is running around looking and following what's presented here, it may look like that 70% of the containers in town are non-conforming, and I think that they are. I think there might be a way to look at about how lids are being secured with the mechanisms that are provided, rather than using the word self-locking. The second comment I had, there was talking about fines. I would love to have seen that if your staff member was going up to a garbage can that is not clasped or locked, that there was an immediate $100 or $200 fine. I think the only reference of fine I saw in the summary was you could be possibly fined up to $50,000. No one's going to be fined $50,000. You've probably only done it once or twice. I think the reality, I would have loved to have seen just a look. You pull up to a garbage can, it's not locked. Everything works on it. It's just the user that's not locking the garbage can. That should just be an immediate fine. I would just love to have seen a more of an aggressive fine process rather than throwing the $50,000 as the worst case scenario. I don't think we'll ever get to that case.
Through the mayor, I think that's something that we can look at fees and charges, correct, Mr. Cadman?
Yeah, through the mayor, that's something we could definitely take a look at. I mean, just going off the top of my head, that's something we have to take a look at, but I'm sure we could come back to council with something.
I would assume that you'd be able to collect 40 grand in fines pretty quick. Like, that's my point. I think the first year going out, there would be a way to recoup some of the cost, because at the end of the day, we're trying to encourage compliance rather than, if we're focusing on the commercial garbage cans. Now, the residential ones, that's a whole different beast. I think, I hope that you're successful on the ACRD, contributing a little bit. I would like to have seen a bit more a standard for homeowners to secure their carts. As we all know, some of us in the room have probably had their carts taken in the woods by the bears, and then they figure how to get into it. I think I would like to have seen a bit more of strong encouragement in language towards compliance of securing what securement of a container looks like. And this is great, this document. I just think that there just needs to be a little bit of fine tuning when we get out there and really focus on fines as an opportunity to fund this a little bit better and just be aggressive about it. The bear problem is more or less in Ucluelet. It's not in Tofino. You can have garbage cans open in Tofino, and other than a raccoon, you're pretty much fine on most days. But I know here on the West Coast, it's a little bit different. And cart securement of carts, again, not every household is going to have the means or the money in order to pay for secure it. So I know that Bob Hansen?
Yep.
Bob is very good. Is he still working for those guys?
I believe so, Chris. Yeah.
Perfect. This is
Yeah.
a special project.
And WildSafe BC does have a CART program, and Chris did a lot of public education with us and for us last year. So I think we're going down the right road in terms of that, as well as providing those actual clips as well.
Yeah, perfect. It's just that these carts are being thrown in the woods, and we're going to get into the summertime, and there's going to be a lot of residents that just don't pick up the lock blocks and the chain. We're talking about $25 in material that is a holdup for not being to be compliant. So I love it. I'm not going to hold it up. I just want to make sure that the garbage cans in town here are not going to be found to be not in compliance tomorrow after we pass this.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Mr. Harding?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and to Councilor Noel. All those, I believe, are items that we can amend and include sooner than later. Mr. Chow can also explain to the council's passed a new procedure for ticketing, which allows us to ticket a lot easier. Mr. Chow, do you want to mention that? That we can include into the...
Yes, the province cabinet just approved add the district crew as a bylaw adjudication system. City of Nanaimo agreed a way to join this administration system of the adjudication ticket. So we're already in the process to review all the tickets. As long as not exceeding $500, it will go to the adjudication system. It's much easier to go through that way.
I think that was something that we passed recently, was it not?
Yes.
Yeah.
So my point, Mayor, is, and Councilor Noel, is we can include that, some type of a level in this somehow. If it has to be an amendment, we can do that later. But as Councilor Noel said, if we continue this forward, I think those are all items that we could amend and look at changing.
Bonus round?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want it to have some teeth. When it comes out, we can't have this happen again. And honestly, it's 36 businesses and probably 50 homes that are the problem, and we just need to focus on that and really get compliance, because it's not happening. So thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you.
And I think securing the carts is not that difficult. Just a hunk of chain from one cart around a big alder tree to another cart is all I do, and that just keeps everything in place. They can't drag them off.
Yes, and through the mayor, there is ways of doing that, and WildSafe has got a lot of information on that, and we could do a bit of a community blitz and education as well, just as we roll things out.
And they do provide electrified fencing as well, correct?
There is a program that Bob Hansen does through WildSafe BC. There's a cost to it. Chris, I'm looking at you. Yes, correct?
But they'll assist the homeowner.
But they'll assist the homeowner or business in how to do it, and give them the information and work with them to make that happen, yes.
And we are reviewing our fees and charges in the near future, I believe, Mr. Harding.
Yes, we are, but I do believe this is something we could add to this sooner than later. Then we're having to wait for that, but we can double check that tomorrow. But I think it's something we could add.
And are we still planning the prototype at Lot 13?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I was going to mention that also. We're working with the ACRD and the local operator and with the owners of looking at a pilot project for a more communal collection, and also with WildSafe. So with all of us working together, I think there's some opportunities to try something different, particularly with the density at Lot 13.
And I believe there is at St. Jake's Boulevard. Is there not something similar to what we're proposing for Lot 13?
Through the mayor, we're using that as a potential look at what they're doing. That is not completely, it's a little different. As it's private, it's a strata, so they operate under slightly different rules, but we are looking for best practices as well, and there is certainly a good example of best practices.
Great, thank you. Did you have a question, Councillor Anderson? No?
Mayor, just one technical component is we're working away on the contract with conservation, but that is coming back as a budgeting decision for council. We just wanted to make sure we brought it up here as an update so everybody knew what we're doing, but council still will approve that once we come back with the operating budget.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other questions or comments, there are 4 recommendations. If someone would like to move them, Councillor Noel.
Okay, you put me on the spot. I recommend that the District of Ucluelet Wildlife Attractant Bylaw number 1390, 2026 be read for the first time.
Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that. He said recommend. Does he have to move or recommend? Does it matter?
Move, it should say move.
Move.
Sorry.
Man, are you replacing Jennifer tonight?
Hey,
You're doing a good job.
He's in her seat.
you got to do it right. Yeah, I'm in the chair for it. Yeah.
Yes, I move.
So yes, I second.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
I'm not sure why my mic isn't on, but I'm here and I hope you guys can hear me.
Your mic is on, we just can't see you.
Yeah, I can see myself. I'm not sure why.
Well, that's all that counts, really.
I'm here.
Perfect.
And I
Thank you.
vote in favor.
All right, none opposed, that carries.
I also move that District of Hewlett Wildlife Attractant Bylaw number 1390, 2026 be read a second time.
I'll second.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, that carries.
And I also move that District of Hewlett Wildlife Attractant Bylaw number 1390, 2026 be read a third time.
Second.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, that carries.
And I also move that a letter be sent to the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District and the District of Tofino inviting them to participate in the Regional Cost Sharing Partnership for a Wildlife Safety Response Officer contract.
Second.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Councillor Noel?
I know that you will probably branch out to Toloquit as well as their, Ucluathot. I think that
Yes.
there's, not that we'll perhaps get monetary compensation, but I definitely would like to make sure that they're involved in the program and the services are be able to reach out over towards them. I think they have their own challenges as they've reached out, changing the service, the way they collect garbage over there. So, and
Yeah, through the mayor, absolutely. That will be part of the strategy as we look, because the Bears don't know borders, so we want to make sure we've got everything covered.
And I think, and I know you're very polite, and I just need to make sure that the ACRD's kind of got us into this pickle here a little bit with the cart. So I'm a strong advocate that this is the service, the way they're now providing the service last few years. I would like to blame that they're 75% of the problem, and you're great that they want us to buy lock blocks and chain, but we didn't have to do this before. And I hope that they can find it in their hearts to contribute some money to this, because wholeheartedly they should be paying for this throughout the region. And I'm glad that we're stepping forward here to make sure that we get an officer and get this done. But I believe that they need to be paying for this.
Absolutely. Through the mayor, we will approach them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right. Thank you, Ms. Fortune.
Thank you very much.
I think we did. Oh, further comments. Okay, all in favor? None opposed?
Aye.
That carries. Thank you. The second bylaw is titled District of Ucluelet Zoning Amendment Bylaw Number 1396, 2026, to allow home occupation to CD5C and CD5E, and it will be presented by Tyler Brown, Director of Planning and Strategic Initiatives.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Keep my comments pretty short on this one because it is quite a simple one in the sense that the Weyerhaeuser has, through their recent subdivision and as they attempt to make some home sales and as they go through the building permit process, they have had folks raise the issue that home occupation isn't permitted in the zone. Staff and I went through some of the history of this and we couldn't find a reason why it was excluded. So we've sort of concluded, or we've concluded that it ultimately we think it was just an oversight. So this is to the request to add it in. Unfortunately, just the way it falls within provincial legislation, it does require a public hearing, as we view it as fairly administrative, and it is a residential zone. So if council grants first and second reading to this tonight, we would move forward by scheduling a public hearing, and after that, we would seek third and adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Could the public hearing be held fairly quickly? Because it's my understanding that some of the Weyerhaeuser lots are being held up for sale because of this.
It is our goal to hold a public hearing at the earliest possible date.
Great, thank you. Questions for Mr. Brown? Pretty straightforward. There are 3 recommendations.
I can,
Councillor Anderson?
I can jump on that. And thank you very much, Mr. Brown, for finding that error and fixing it. That's great. So I'll move that the District of Euclid zoning amendment bylaw number 1396, 2026 be read for a first time.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, that carries.
I'll further move the District of Euclid zoning amendment bylaw number 1396, 2026 be read for a second time.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, that carries.
I will lastly move the council direct staff to give notice for a public hearing to be held on District of Euclid zoning amendment bylaw number 1396, 2026.
And I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, that carries. Thank you, Mr. Brown. The third bylaw is titled OCP and Zoning Bylaw Amendment for High Focus Island, Lot 543, and it will be presented by Mr. Brown, Director of Planning and Strategic Initiatives. Welcome back.
Thank you again, Mayor. The other one was short and sweet. This one might be a little longer as it's got a little more meat on the bone than that last one there. You're familiar with this proposal or this land application. You did receive a proposal last year, similar, but I think there's some key differences that I'll go over here as I explain. The proposal is ultimately to rezone the lands on what is known as High Focus Island or Humanus. And the intent is essentially to have 2 different zones cover the island. The first is what we've crafted is a new R7 zone, and I'll spend a little more time on this one. This zone would cover 25 larger lots designed for single-family homes. This zone would allow for a residential unit, a secondary suite, and accessory dwelling unit. Where the custom zone comes into this one is in comparison to some of the other zones already in the zoning bylaw, is it would limit the short-term rental component to either the secondary suite or the accessory dwelling unit, one or the other. Further, typically in a lot of the zones within the Euclid zoning bylaw currently, it allows for bed and breakfast, which has been used to ultimately create 3 separate units within a dwelling unit. This would not allow that same type of arrangement. It would simply allow either the secondary suite unit or the accessory dwelling unit to be used for short-term rental. A further restriction on that is at no point can the short-term rental use exceed 50% of the floor area used for residential use. Taken together, the purpose of this is to essentially limit ensure that the principal use is always long-term residential, and if there is a maximum of 3 units per parcel, only 1 could be used for short-term rental. And that would cover a potential 25 lots that are around the kind of the outer ring of the island. In the interior, the zoning would be the R6 zone, which is compact single family. This would create 60 smaller lots, and the use there would be only long-term residential with primary residential dwelling unit and a secondary suite permitted in each of the units. And again, that's in the interior. The road network, I won't go into explanation, but it is, the zoning here it's more comprehensive, and the road network has had a preliminary review, and we think that would work at time of subdivision. So that's where you see we're able to recommend to you that if you adopt this, that zoning configuration would work. The proposal does come with a significant amenities package. The developer is proposing to dedicate approximately 25% of the land as parkland, and in that would include trail systems throughout the development. Now, this is where I will highlight there's significant deviation from the previous proposal with respect to the trail network. The trail network has been designed and is proposed before you to avoid all sensitive archaeological sites that are known on the island. Further, it links the different components or the different zones in the residential layout of the parcel of the the development. That parkland would also include some park amenities, such as sports courts and playgrounds. Further, the proposal also includes the transfer of two parcels for the municipal use. One is very much tied to the lagoons, the sewage lagoons out there, and the second is not designated for anything, and would be subject to future decisions by council if this proposal proceeded. And there may be a variety of options that council may wish to explore, whether it's partnerships or municipal use, with what to do with that parcel. So there's no assumptions on what that would be used for at this time, and the zoning bylaw is really meant to be a little agnostic in that sense. And I would just highlight that the parcel for the utility expansion, while there's no set plans for what that expansion would be, we do know that area is constrained out there, and any additional land would benefit any future upgrades to the lagoon and the sewage system out there. With respect to infrastructure upgrades, the development would be required to upgrade infrastructure in the area, obviously sanitary sewer, water, and ensure that the development is properly serviced. But further, the proposal does include significant improvements to Helen Road, which is outside of the lands proposed to be rezoning, but very importantly to upgrade the safety of that important street from this proposal all the way to Marine Drive, including a sidewalk on the road. For the length of the road. Staff would recommend, though, if council does wish to accept that amenity package, that it be made a condition of rezoning, and it would be secured after third reading and prior to adoption through a Section 219 covenant on title. What that would allow is that if they would allow the proposal to proceed at rezoning, and if the subdivision application does come in, it would trigger the amenity packages at that stage of development. We did send out a referral to UFN in November. We have yet to hear back, but they've been undergoing some staffing changes, so we would recommendation here is that we send out another formal referral as a follow-up, and both the proponent and myself have connected with their staff on this proposal multiple times. So we're hopeful that prior to public hearing, we would have comments back from the nation in which council can consider as part of the public hearing package. And just due to the nature of the development, and it is significant, we would recommend a referral also to the school district, just for any comments that they may have around capacity, and if anything, they can take that into their planning considerations. I think I would just leave it there, Your Worship. I, of course, can answer any questions, but also the agents on behalf of the developer are here to provide an introduction, and I would welcome Aaron Berg and Paul Rosenau to the microphone to provide a brief presentation, and they're, of course, here to answer any questions as well.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. So the presentation will be presented by them? Okay, great. Councillor Mafty, you had your hand up a little while ago. Did you have a specific question in mind?
No, I was just trying to troubleshoot with Richard why my camera wasn't working, and I just raised my hand to be promoted to panelist, but I'm here now. I can see you, I can hear you, and vice versa. So no comments from me at this time. Looking forward to the presentation.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Rosenau.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Paul Rosenau. I'm from Acoustics Town Planning in Vancouver. I think I know most of you. Yeah, we've been in the community now for about 3 years, and just looking forward to making a very short presentation tonight, not getting into too much technical detail, but I think just a reminder of who we are and what our project's about. And we'll click through these. I think there's maybe 10 slides. I'll try to flip through them quickly. Next slide. So what is our project about? We're a new 34-acre coastal neighborhood on High Focus Island with 85 single-family homes located in what we consider to be a very close proximity to the core of your community, actually just down the road from here. We're offering a range of housing types that are designed primarily for long-term residents, the so-called missing middle. And as the Director of Planning was saying, that we have around 25 waterfront lots kind of around the periphery of the island, and 51 more modest, smaller lots with 9 compact homes in the center. We have, over the last 3 years, I think we're on rendition number 10 of our master plan now, with a scaled back plan that we believe has been largely shaped by community engagement, through public hearings, Yuki Days, which was actually the mayor's suggestion for 2 years running, as well as consultation with First Nations. Next slide. The owner of High Focus Island is Maywind Developments. They're a land development company that was founded by David Liu, who's a long-term BC resident whose background is in manufacturing, and also has a number of long-term investments around BC. Some of you might know or kept a boat at some stage in Beachcomber Marina, which is one of his properties. He also owns some apartment buildings up in Port Hardy, another small marina in the Lower Mainland, and I think this is his prized possession, and he's kind of entrusted it, I think, into our hands to try to create something special in your town. Next slide. We have put together a team of locals. Locals or locals? Locals. We believe it's a great team. Our builder is Chris Bosman, who's actually working on the new ship facility, and we had a tour of that today. Very excited to have him as our builder. We do have a commitment from the owner to build the 60 compact homes ourselves, not to just sell lots and to kind of leave that up to individuals. We think that there's a great need in this community to offer homes that have a 10-year warranty and a legal secondary suite that the people can get into in a turnkey fashion. We've been working with Brian, who's here this evening. Brian's been helping us with all of our marketing and real estate needs, and really helping us to better understand, like, who is the local market and what kind of houses could we build that would be immediately taken up by Ucluelet residents. We've just recently brought Binny Engineers on, and our senior engineer is actually a Ucluelet resident. So our core team of individuals are living here in your community, and each of those groups have people working for them that will help us, hopefully build this out over the next 10 years. And then ourselves from Akistics in Vancouver, and June Nan, who's here this evening, who's an architect and land development consultant. We've kind of fallen in love with Ucluelet, and I suspect we'll be spending more time over here over the next number of years. The master plan, next slide, is, as I was saying, sorry, I missed a slide there. What are we planning to build? These images here are of other small communities. We have 4 projects right now in Squamish, a series of small compact home communities that we're building up in the Okanagan. And this really is the market that that exists today in most small communities in BC. I think the days of the 4,000 and 5,000 square foot homes are largely over, and I think, based on kind of the housing crisis that we're in Canada in general, and in small communities more specifically, we're really trying to focus on designing and building, what we consider to be beautiful, compact, single-family homes. This is the so-called missing middle that we think exists here in Ucluelet. We believe that there are a variety of different kinds of residents right now that could immediately uptake into this market, which would also free up other kind of real estate. And I think we're excited to create a community, a new community of this style of housing. And again, our commitment is to be building the 51 modest homes and the 9 compact homes ourselves. The next image is just a bit of a bird's eye perspective, and as I was saying, I think this is version 10.0, very different from where we started, and a scaled down version, I think, of what we originally envisioned for the island. We have no multifamily product on the site anymore, but trying to focus more on fee simple, compact, single family homes with significant tree buffers that will be mandated as part of our proposal around the entire periphery of the island. So just finally, what are the benefits that we believe that our community will bring to Ucluelet? And I just have three slides that I'd like to show. First slide, and you could jump to the next one, homes that are designed, primarily for local people. So these smaller scale homes that we are planning to size kind of in that 1,650 square foot to maybe 2,000 square feet, with a legal secondary suite, with a 10-year home warranty. We believe that there's a market that exists, even in this very tough market that exists in Canada today. We believe that market is there right now. These homes are designed primarily for families, for downsizers, and for people who have kind of long-term living needs in the community. And after the tour this morning of Rising Tide, it sounds like there's going to be a significant growth in the demand for these types of houses over the next 2 to 5 years. And of course, a master plan that supports kind of housing diversity. We have 3 product types, and I think as we build out our show homes, we'll try to target these, as the uptick happens, to adjust to what we think people, are interested in buying over the next 5 to 10 years. Secondly, and I think the Director of Planning mentioned it, of course our plan is to build, full municipal services to district standards with an emphasis on Helen Road and the upgrades on Helen Road with a sidewalk that would connect the entirety of all the homes on High Focus all the way out to Peninsula, which would eventually allow kids to walk from the entirety of this neighborhood to and from their homes to school on a sidewalk. In addition, we've been having discussions with district staff about the provision of a tsunami warning system that would be coordinated in its design, with your staff, and we're committed to facilitating that. And finally, we believe that over the last 3 years, that our plan has really been based on a respect for this place and for your community. Of the 34 acres of land, just under 15 acres of land would be dedicated to the district for park space, for protected natural area, for future utility, including a property that is highly developable in a great location on the plan that would really be up to the municipality to decide, how and best that land should be used or developed over the next number of years. We have 30 meters of shoreline buffer around the entirety of the island that would be guaranteed through restrictive covenants and kind of protecting the shoreline, but also the view both from the inside looking out and the outside looking in as you're coming into the harbor and from across from the Ucluelet community. And again, I think over the course of the last 3 years, we have kind of rightfully scaled back our proposal from the initial proposal, which I think was something around 325 homes, with multifamily and apartment units, to a small, compact, single-family community. And we appreciate that the feedback that we've gotten from our various public open houses and engagement sessions has helped to shape that plan. So the last slide is just kind of a thank you. We appreciate the opportunity of coming in front of council again this evening, hopefully to receive our first and second reading. And we're looking forward to presenting in more detail at the public hearing. We wanted to thank the residents that are watching for their participation at the various public houses that we've held at Yuki Days. We got a really good turnout at our stand, and we heard a lot of opinions that day, and we've tried to respect those opinions in the design of our plan. We believe that High Focus Island has the potential to become a thoughtful, well-loved neighborhood, and we're committed to carrying that responsibility forward should we get the approval of City Council. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Osino. Will you take questions?
Sure.
Does council
try.
have any questions for the applicant?
I
Councillor
just have
Noel?
one, if I can.
Yes.
Thanks for this. I look forward to it getting to a public for public feedback. I love what you've done. I think you've been very considerate of what you've heard from the residents in the community and what you've presented here. Like I said, I look forward to hearing from the public. But one mention I know we talk about all the time, or we've talked about before, is regarding the road that you'd be repairing on Helen. There's no mention about the water flow going back and forth. Maybe you can just tell us about that a little bit, and I'm curious why that wasn't a one of the line items.
Conditions, yeah. So I think it's still our intention to open up the causeway as part of the Helen Road improvement. Certainly, we've heard loud and clear from both local residents as well as the First Nations that is an important aspect to the plan. I think we're committed to it. We have hired a local engineer, as I was saying, to kind of double check our numbers that we had put together a year ago with KWL. And I think we'll be able to make that commitment before public hearing, that will be part and parcel of our package. We hired Redfish to do our environmental work, 2 years ago, and then worked with Carrie on the archaeology. Heard lots of stories of what the cove was like, when that causeway was not there, and it sounded spectacular, and we would love for it to get back to that condition. Not only, I think, is a benefit to Ucluelet, but I think it would also be a benefit to our future residents as well. So we will be prepared to make that commitment before public hearing.
Councillor Anderson?
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation, and we got a chance to speak last week, which was great, and I got to see some of the images, and this has been an evolving project, so I think you guys have answered a lot of the issues that residents had, which is really good to see. I've spoken to a handful of people just to try and get a feel for how things are looking now, and obviously we won't know until the public hearing. So, but the one, there's a bunch of things here that I really like. The variety of the housing types and having that missing middle in there, I think is terrific. That's something that almost all municipalities need, so that's great. There's the protected areas, the parkland. I think you went above and beyond for considering where the trail was before, and then being more sort of respectful with that sensitive area. I like that. And then there's pieces of land that you've actually given to the municipality. I can't say anything bad about that. The only sticky part that I think may come up, and this is just when talking to people just about the density and the number of people that might be in that area. And again, this is I hear what you're saying about having that flexibility to have the show homes and see what the market takes in. And I get that, but the one thing I would just keep in mind is if it's, and I'm just trying to go through the math, if it's 85 units, so 25 of those are the large lots, the large single family lots with the R7 zoning, so they're allowed to have a secondary suite and also an ADU. So if you, I always, when I see units right at 85, and then I start thinking about secondary suites and ADUs, so I think, well, 25, that's 25 times 3, that's 75. And then with the 51, and again, I think the compact 51 units are great, but my concern is, just in the back of my head, and what I've heard people say is the number of people we're putting into a an area that's sort of off and small is that's 51, and that would be with if each had a secondary suite. And I also realize that not everyone is going to choose to do these things, and not everyone's going to have an ADU. But I'm just being hyperbole here and just picking the worst case scenario where like every single unit gets used. So if that was 51, then that would be times 2 would be 102. With the 9, the smaller single family ones, they're allowed to have secondary suites. I realize all these are long-term only with the R6 infill, and so that would be 18 possible. So if I add all those up, that's 195 possible units. I think if I did the math right on that. So I just that's just the one thing that people will ask me, and then they'll say, well, if there were 4 people living in each one, which is probably not going to happen, a lot of these are going to be small, then that's 780 people in that area. But I know I'm being hyperbolic here, but at the end of the day, that is a possibility that I think we have to keep in mind when we think about density, where we put people in the town. And the other thing is saturation as well. And I know that the idea that the single family homes will be built out over time by individual lot owners, but I like the idea that you'll sort of take these, or there'll be whatever the uptake is. But sort of saturation and density are the two things that I just hear people say. But again, these are things that we're going to hear at the public hearing and how people feel about that. But to go back to a positive note on this, I think you guys have done a terrific job sort of placating the real issues, especially coupled with the First Nation, our neighbors as well. So thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. If I could just make one comment on the density. And it is a tough one in a sense. I mean, from a planning perspective, we still consider this to be a very low density development by, provincial standards. Of the 180 some odd units, over 100 of those would be rental suites. So one of the things that we grapple with in every community is, what is the demand for rental? Our understanding is that there's a massive demand for that right now. And if you double down on that, those rental suites are actually what allows a young couple or a first-time home buyer to actually get into the market. So we have some communities that we're being reason. So I think we're always kind of walking this fine line. I think you're right. Not all of these units will be built out with secondary suites or the ADUs. Your worst case scenario is another person's best case scenario, in some senses, because those rental units are something that I think we've heard from day one, that if we could even do a rental building, which we did have on one of our proposals, and we've since removed it, that would be something that could be taken up right away. So I think we hear you. From a traffic perspective, often density relates to traffic. And so we've done traffic assessments. We've talked to our traffic engineer. They believe at full build out, of the full 186 units, that during peak hour on the busiest day, that we're still at the highest level of service based on our improved road. So we feel comfortable from a planning perspective that we're not, jeopardizing safety on that road. And I think we're also interested, to hear at the public hearing, how much is too much. We think that we're there. We hope that we're there, but we also look forward to hearing from the public, come that day.
Thank you for your comments. Councillor Mafty, anything from you?
No, I enjoyed the proposal. I enjoyed the backstory. Obviously, this is something that we've seen come before us time and again. I think what I said the last time, I'd say again now. I'm impressed at the degree to which the group has taken the community's concerns into consideration. I'm at a point where I feel like what's being proposed is totally acceptable to me, and I think that the stage that we're at in the process is going to still leave further opportunities to refine and adjust the proposal as needed. I'm supportive. I don't have any questions. I'm definitely curious to get more feedback and see, what people are feeling. But from my side, I think this is, in its current iteration, something that we would have been really, glad to see early on. And the fact that we got here is a testament to how flexible and reasonable the proponent has been. So, yeah, no questions, just support and a general sense of approval for what I'm seeing where we're at.
Thank you, Councillor Mafti. Thank you, Paul. Any questions for staff before we go to motions? No? Oh, Councillor Anderson?
Somebody asked me this today, and I think I know the answer already. With short-term rentals, there's the current restriction for bed and breakfast, where they're not allowed to have cooking facilities and those types of things. These are standalone, and they fall under that new R7. So would they would they have to have that prohibition on, like 220 appliances, like a full-size stove and things like that?
Great question, and happy to clarify that. There would be no prohibition. The idea being here that we don't want to get into the scenario where we have right now, where someone builds a short-term unit, and then because of the way all the regulatory regime comes together, they can't convert that into a long-term. The intention here is very much the opposite. It's to lead with residential first, local occupation first, and then if there's a unit that does qualify to be rented for short-term rental, it can be, without jeopardizing the future of that unit from only being short-term rental and not added back into the long-term stock.
Right. Thank you for that confirmation. Thank you.
Good question. Thanks. No other questions or comments for staff. This is a long one. There's actually 10 recommendations, and Councillor Anderson has a cold. So I'm going to see if Councillor Mafti might want to read these out. Are you prepared to read the recommendations, Councillor Mafti? He's frozen.
Hello.
Oh,
No.
there you are.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
Okay. All right. I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to recommend that District of Ucluelet Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1394/2026 be read a first time.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed? That carries.
I'll further move that Council has considered the consultation requirements under Section 475 of the Local Government Act in relation to District of Ucluelet Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1394/2026, and that referrals be sent to the Ucluelet Government and School District 70.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed? That carries.
I'll further move that Council has considered District of Ucluelet Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1394/2026 in conjunction with the District of Ucluelet Financial Plan.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed? That carries.
I'll further move that Council has considered District of Ucluelet Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1394/2026 in conjunction with the Waste Management Plan.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed? That carries.
I'll further move that District of Ucluelet Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1394/2026 be read a second time.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed? That carries.
I'll further move that Council directs staff to give notice for a public hearing to be held on Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1394/2026.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries.
I'll further move that District of Ucluelet zoning amendment bylaw number 1395 2026 be read a first time.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries.
I'll further move that District of Ucluelet zoning amendment bylaw number 1395 2026 be read a second time.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries.
And I'll finally move that council direct staff to give notice for a public hearing to be held on zoning amendment bylaw number 1395 2026.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries. I think it goes on, actually.
Yeah, there's another one. One more.
Yep. You're not finished yet, Councillor
frozen
Matthew.
again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have number 10. Sorry, it's on the following page. I've got the PDF open. I'm sorry. I'll further move that council make a condition of zoning amendment bylaw number 1395 2026 that the applicant register a section 219 covenant on the title of the subject property to secure the following community amenities and infrastructure improvements to be completed or provided prior to any future subdivision approval. And I'll read them out. A, parkland dedication, completion of the legal transfer and restoration of all proposed park spaces and open space corridors. B, trail development, construction of the proposed pedestrian network, including trails through the proposed development. C, off-site infrastructure, completion of the proposed transportation improvements to Helen Road and the Marine Drive / Helen Road intersection, including all road and sidewalk works. D, emergency preparedness, installation of a tsunami warning system at a location and to a standard and specification determined by the district. E, park improvements, supply and installation of playground equipment and associated landscaping within the designated pocket parks. F, land transfer, completion of the legal transfer of the 2 identified municipal parcels to the District of Ucluelet for future utility expansion and general municipal use. G, water infrastructure, installation of a new 200 millimeter water main and associated infrastructure to ensure adequate fire flow and domestic supply for the proposed development. And H, wastewater servicing, construction of a sanitary sewer lift station and the necessary force mains to connect the development to the district's wastewater system.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion?
Just thank you, Mr. Mafty, for taking on those recommendations.
Yeah, good job.
It's my pleasure.
I was a little nervous there for about 10 seconds.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries. Awesome. Thank you. We look forward to the public hearing. There are 7 reports on the agenda. The first report is titled Skate Park Expansion Design Build Contract Award, and it will be presented by Abby Fortune, Director of Community Services.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you have a good news story. Recommendation to execute a contract between the District of Ucluelet and Radius Contracting Incorporation to the tune of $300,000 plus GST for the design and construction of the Ucluelet Skate Park Expansion Project. This project is fully funded through RMI, as determined by the Resort Development Strategy, which was approved by Council. In 2016, a plan was developed to expand the District of Ucluelet Skate Park, and staff have been working with the local skate park committee to identify a path to completion for expansion of this project. An RFP was issued, and the proposals were reviewed by the evaluation team, consisting of representatives from the district, the skate park committee, and CAPEX projects. Evaluations were completed to pre-established evaluation process, and the highest ranked proponent was Radius Contracting. Awarding this contract now ensures construction will be finalized by June of 2026, providing residents and visitors with an enhanced recreation facility just in time for the peak summer season. Yay. Staff and evaluation are confident that this expansion will serve as a vibrant community hub for years to come. And I would like to acknowledge Leon here, who has been a critical part of helping out with the skateboard committee. Any questions?
Questions for staff? Councillor Anderson?
Just a comment. I was going to say thank you so much for all your hard work on this, and I know sometimes getting funding for things like this, you have to look outside the box, and we saw that there was like a resort municipality that did something, but in no easy work from the skateboard committee. They really hustled on this one. You guys did an amazing job, and and Leon, your leadership was terrific. So sort of going through all the needs and the wants of the skate community was really easy to read and go through, and I think that we both appreciated that. But yeah, no, this is terrific. This is kind of a dream come true, I think, for a lot of people in town, and it's been a while coming, but actually pretty quickly, I would probably say, at the end of the day, for that amount of money anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
to
Thank
both
you.
you guys.
Yes, thank you, Abby and Leon. That was great. Lots of work, I know, lots of years actually of work. But a great news story. And to have it accomplished by June of this year would be amazing. And that's the goal, right?
That is the goal.
Perfect. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, there is a recommendation. There's two that can be read together. Councillor
I'd be happy
Anderson?
to do this one again. I'm so excited to see this move forward. This is near and dear to my heart. So if no one objects, I'll jump in and I'll recommend that council authorize the mayor and corporate officer to award and execute a contract between the District of Ucluelet and Radius Contracting Incorporated for $300,000 plus GST for the design and construction of the Ucluelet Skate Park expansion project, and that council authorize a total project budget of $339,000, which includes construction, design, contingency, and all associated project costs.
And I'll second that.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed. That carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Leon's looking for a new project. If anybody has one, he's sitting in the audience here. The second report is titled AVICC Resolutions Regarding Property Classification, and it will be presented by Jeff Cadman, Director of Finance.
Thank you, Mayor. So this report and the report preceding it are coming back to council as a result of notice of motions. This report in particular is about property classes whose use isn't in line with how they're being taxed, namely nightly rentals that are being taxed as residential. So part of the request was for staff to come back with a more fulsome report. That'll be coming back in the spring. Just because of where we are in the assessments, we'll have to look at BC assessment with planning to come back with that report. But with AVICC coming up, we thought it was prudent to get this in front of council so we could get that recommendation and get that put forward and then go through the BCM process. Big thanks to Flo and Ed for getting these reports done. There's quite a few appendices. I won't go into too much detail. It's all in the report. If there's any questions from council, I'm happy to answer them at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Cadman. What is the deadline, do you know, to submit resolutions to AVICC?
It's shortly. I believe it's this week or next week.
I wondered because the conference is in April, so yeah. Okay, great. Questions for staff?
Yeah, I have a couple.
This was your notice of motion?
Yeah, so I at least speak
Yep,
to it for at
go
least a
ahead.
minute anyways,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, thanks for putting it together, Jeff, and the group here. You know, when I was reading this package and then, you know, I was all hot to trot here in November, I don't feel the passion behind the motion, but I know you guys put the work into it, so we'll keep on going because I don't like spending energy where I think that we're going to get no outcome. So, you know, I'm happy to go to AVICC. I hope you guys can all support me and we put this resolution forward. But you know, I think that this is something that AVICC and the powers that be have heard this for a long time. But you know, I think that when we look at our budget in general This is what brought it up, was the budget, was the fact was making sure residents and businesses in town are paying their fair share. And I still say that 10 years later, this topic is still coming up, which is a bit shameful on the province's part. But I'm happy to move the recommendations forward. If there's no other questions, I guess.
Well, we will all be standing at the pro mic for
Perfect.
you.
I like it. I like it.
AVICC. I believe Tofino is. Oh, Mr. Harding disappeared. I believe Tofino is putting forward a similar resolution for AVICC. I don't know what the differences are, and Mr. Harding has left the room. There he is. Mr. Harding, District of Tofino. District of Tofino is putting a similar resolution forward to AVICC regarding the BC assessment. Is that correct?
That's correct. And they're deliberating on that tonight. So I was going to send it to council today, make sure you had it, and I forgot to. So I can do that right now, actually.
Great. Do you know how different it is from ours?
Okay.
I could speak to it, not completely, but essentially what it's looking at is stratas under 20 units. There's something different in the classification. I'm not totally sure on it, but it's essentially, from my understanding, is stratas under 20. They're assessed residential regardless of their use, and so that's what the motion is targeting, is trying to be able to, if stratas under 20 are being used commercially, they should be taxed commercially.
Right. That's exactly what we're looking for.
I'm just wondering if I can, after Tofino does it, is there a way to maybe amalgamate the two? So it would. You want to say something?
So typically AVICC, or if it sneaks through AVICC and they don't, the resolution committee, and it goes to UBCM, they will lump all similar motions. And if there's grounds in which they're close but not quite there, they at times the executive will just take on the motion and introduce one kind of omnibus motion that captures it all.
Yeah, I think about AVICC and the pro and con mics, and sometimes the sheer amount of resolutions that come up. If there's, but anyway, I'm supportive of that. I just I hope that we can kind of almost have the resolutions almost parallel each other when they come up, because we're all saying the same tune. Mm-hmm. And with zero expectations, but let's do it, I guess.
All right. If there's no other questions for staff, you're willing to make the recommendations?
Move the recommendation that the council, the District of Hewlett, endorse the following resolution submission. Is that what it is? And what am I doing here?
Mm-hmm. Yep, you got it.
Endorse the following resolution submissions to the Association of Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities for consideration at the 2026 annual AVICC convention. Whereas BC assessment property classifications do not always reflect actual property use, creating inequal tax burdens on the property owners, and this misalignment undermines municipalities' ability to ensure fair and sustainable funding for local services. And whereas the current tools available to municipalities to address these inconsistencies are limited and leaving taxpayers and councils without meaningful recourse. Therefore, it be resolved that UBCM urge the province of British Columbia to provide municipalities with stronger authority and practice tools to review, challenge, and correct property classifications, ensuring equitable taxation and a fair distribution of local fiscal responsibility.
Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries.
And thanks again, you guys, for putting the time into that. We'll see what comes out of it.
The third report is titled AVICC Resolution Re Section 644 of the Local Government Act, and it will be presented by Mr. Cadman, Director of Finance.
Thank you, Mayor. So essentially, this is the same thing, AVICC report. This one is targeting the 1% revenue cap on certain utilities. So this one is especially targeting communications. We have the 1% utilities. We have BC Hydro and TELUS. BC Hydro has continued to increase, which is great. But for TELUS, because of the way the communications have changed, where before it was cable and things like that, as we're moving into new services, those aren't caught up in the 1%. So this report is basically asking the province to add in these new communication so that they're caught up in this 1%.
Thank you. Questions for staff? No, we've been down this road before.
Yeah, I feel like it. I feel like it's Groundhog Day, but we're going to do it anyways. But
What happened last time? This was in our last term, correct?
it did make it UBCM. It passed. The resolution was passed through UBCM. I think it's just another example how, you know, over time that these taxation policies haven't been brought up to speed. And again, it just goes back to, we just can't be taxing each one of us $300 more every year. And when you have these large corporations that are doing the work in our communities, and I would question even how they use a power pole, in 2026, how they used to use a power pole in the 1980s. You know, they're hanging stuff off there that one would question whether it's even acceptable without, they just do their own thing. So, you know, I think we bring this up with ministers in the past, and sometimes you get the dull look. You know, I'm more than happy to bring this forward again. I think that you know, with the economic times that we find the province in, I don't think it's a big cry for municipalities across the province to be properly compensated from TELUS and all the other union brothers that seem to make record profits. And here we are. Again, 10 years later, bringing up these topics. So I'm happy it's here. I know you guys put some legwork into it. I know there'll probably nothing come out of it, but I do appreciate that you followed my motion and did that. But I'd also like to make just a comment that, you know, I would have probably liked to see something from the fire chief. I think fire costs are a big one. You know, these two are ones that are going to hit a minister's desk. You know, I think that my third one that I brought up, you know, the whole purpose of bringing them up was to ensure that we didn't raise taxes for people in the community, and you know, and fire services are necessary, but we're responding to events that got nothing to do with anybody in this room. It's all to do with tourists and car accidents, and we're paying for it every day. And so that's my only thing. I probably, my fault, Jeff. I probably could have come to you guys and said, hey, focus on that one first and don't worry about the other two. You've done the work. I'm happy to stand at the microphone and represent, but I can't stress that you're almost done your budget. And I would have liked to see something from the fire chief regarding, like, look, we need to be billing ICBC and all these other groups that are in Ministry of Health for call assist that we're doing every day, and it's taxing our local fire department, and we need to get money. Like I said, I don't care if you even get paid. We just need to send them invoices and worry about it later on, because this isn't working. Us standing at microphones hoping we're going to get something. You know, we'll play the game, go spend 4 days with Councillor Anderson and the mayor. But I just really want to bring to light that third one was really an important one. And outside of going to these conventions, I hope that we can bring something back to council here, that we can just start sending people invoices that are using these services.
Was that not one of your notices of motion?
Yeah, it was the only one that's not been addressed. That's why I brought it up.
And is it too late, Mr. Harding, to do that?
So Chief Geddes is working on that, and he has a draft. We're actually coming to you with a full type of fire presentation on a number of fire service. We think we're going to add that then. We also believe that it may not need to go to AVICC for that, but I'll double check with Mr. Chow later on tomorrow. If it needs to, we can always bring it back as a late item, but we believe it's something the council can, if that's what they want to proceed with, it'd be separate from AVICC.
Just through mayor to council, AVICC deadline is Thursday,
so
the day after tomorrow.
Too soon, yes. Okay, so this is something we can work on without taking it to AVICC.
Yes, I think given what council and the motion, they're saying that we were going to proceed regardless with some options. So that's where we're working on.
We did bring it up to one of the ministers at UBCM in September, but
We got that same look.
we got that same stare. Yeah. Okay, so any further discussion or questions for staff? No. Did you want to read this out?
I don't know if do we have to. Can I just say I move the motion, and I think that's
I can read it out. I have it printed out here. I will move. Whereas, do I start with whereas?
Whatever you like to do. No, start at the very. Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
Do it.
I will move whereas Section 644 of the Local Government Act is outdated and fails to include modern communications services such as cellular, broadband, fiber optic, and satellite that increasingly rely on municipal rights of way. And whereas municipal infrastructure costs are soaring while revenues under Section 644 have stagnated, failing to keep pace with inflation or the technological growth of the utilities industry. Therefore, be it resolved that UBCM, shouldn't it say AVICC? UBCM?
AVICC will
AVICC.
propose to UBCM. Yeah.
Urge the province of British Columbia to modernize Section 644 of the Local Government Act by including all modern communication services and adjusting the 1% revenue cap to ensure fair, sustainable, and predictable funding that reflects true municipal infrastructure costs.
I'll second that, and thank you.
Yeah. I was told. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I was told if it wasn't a bylaw that we could just say, "I'll make that motion." But yeah, I don't know.
Well, for people watching at home,
They want. Oh yeah,
They
because
wanna hear it.
They can't see that, can they?
they can't see the screen. Yeah.
Right.
Any further discussion?
No.
Someone seconded, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, he did.
You
Yeah.
did? Okay. No further discussion. All in favor? None opposed? That carries. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
The fourth report is titled Council Response to the Humanitarian Crisis in Gaza, and it will be presented by Ed Chow, Director of Corporate Services.
Thank you. Through Mayor to Council, we received several correspondence from the residents in the community, ask Council to consider some options in response to the humanitarian crisis on Gaza. Staff did a quick research, proposed 3 options. One is support a humanitarian letter. Another is pass a short acknowledgement resolution. The last one is if Council choose take no action. They all have its pro and cons, and we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Questions for staff?
Just some comments. I know this was a heavy one, Ed, and you wordsmithed that correctly. So I'm totally jealous the way you're handling the English language. It's wonderful. It's a sensitive topic. I know it's awkward for governments or local government to start talking about things like this, but I think we got to stop being awkward about it and just point out the obvious that what's going on over there is there's many people in our community and we represent them yeah, I didn't know how you were going to do that. So you did a great job, and I like your 2 options. So thank you.
Any other comments or questions for staff? I'm leaning toward option B myself. I don't know how everybody else is feeling. Got a nod to my left.
Yeah, no, I'm
Nod to my
I'm glad
right.
that you said that. I thought I was going to have to do work on that one, but that's good.
I can jump on this.
Councillor Mafty, are you, well, go ahead and make the motion and I guess we'll take a vote.
Sure. I'll move the council recognizes the humanitarian suffering of civilians in Gaza and its impacts on members of our community. The municipality expresses compassion for all civilians affected by violence and affirms its support for human dignity and humanitarian access.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion?
I hate to disagree. Like on a personal level, I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this and other tragedies around the world. As I said before in the first meeting, I feel like we're here to discuss Ucluelet's business on behalf of Ucluelet's residents. I see as this issue has progressed that maybe this is Ucluelet's business, and so I would support option A, option B. But I don't feel that it's beneficial or appropriate for us to get too involved here. And so if what we can do is express solidarity, I'm fine with that. So between option A and option B, I'd look to the rest of the councilors to see what you guys are feeling, and perhaps let that inform which way I would swing between those two options.
All right, well, the motion on the floor is for option B. It's been moved and seconded. So any further discussion?
I would support that then.
Okay. No further discussion. Call the vote. All in favor? None opposed. That carries.
Wonderful.
Great. We are the wonderful five, after all. The famous five. Sorry, I thought it was wonderful. That's Mr. Wonderful I'm thinking of, I guess. The fifth report is titled Tsunami Warning System for New Development, and it will be presented by Mr. Brown, Director of Planning and Strategic Initiatives.
Thank you, Mayor. So the policy before you for consideration is developed out of what staff have identified, in our opinion, is a gap that we wanted to bring for your consideration with respect to tsunami risk within the district. As you saw with High Focus, there is lands in the OCP that folks wish to develop. High Focus isn't the only area, and currently the district is only served by 2 tsunami warning speaker systems. The fire chief has identified this as being a gap, and as not only in areas that may be developed in the future, but also actually just within the existing development patterns. But there's currently no money in the 5-year financial plan for the expansion of that system. So we wanted to bring this forward to you because we are receiving some applications to expand the areas in which higher intensity or density of development would incur, in particular residential development. And this would just simply be a policy that would guide proponents in their planning, but require them to consider as an amenity package through a rezoning. And just to be clear, this is rezoning. It's for future densities, not any existing development or densities, to either implement or contribute based on the scale of development to the expansion of the tsunami speaker warning system. In an overall cost, the fire chief estimates that these type of units are about $40,000 to $50,000. Therefore, we thought it would be inappropriate to require 10 units or less to bear that full expense, and rather just contribute some funds to the expansion. And the idea being there, as they accumulate, the fire chief would identify the best areas to serve those neighborhoods. But for larger developments like High Focus, we found a willing partner that wanted to negotiate that as part of the amenity package. They would implement the warning system themselves in consultation with the district and meeting our technical standards to serve more than 10 units, and they would be responsible for the funds and the installation. Like I said, it's a policy. At any point, someone could come forward through the rezoning process and make the case to council why they do not believe they should contribute towards that. And there may be very valid reasons, such as they're adequately serviced by existing warning system, et cetera, et cetera. So the policy, if adopted, would really help staff guide and also the developers be well aware that this is a priority to the district. Now, I would just add, and it's not in the report, just to contextualize this. We do have council direction to look at the tsunami elevation policy for development. The way we're viewing this is that conversation is part of it's contextualized in what is risk mitigation for the district. So we are currently unpacking that and the best way to review that policy and have that conversation with the community and council around what is the risk tolerance and how are we making decisions in that regard. But that's not done in isolation, and there's also other ways to mitigate risk. And obviously the tsunami speaker warning system is part of that risk mitigation by making sure that if there is an event, there's a loud siren that goes off and people will be warned to get to higher ground. So it's just for council's consideration, and if adopted, we would be looking future forward on rezoning applications to secure this as part of the amenity package.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. And I noted on page 232 the contribution requirements. If it's 10 or more units, they must install a tsunami warning system. But if it's less than 10 units, proponents must provide cash in lieu contribution of $2,000 per unit for future system expansion.
That is correct.
Great. Questions for staff? Did we lose Councillor Mafty?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So let me get this right, Mr. Brown. So if you have, this is just with new developments, correct?
New developments through rezoning.
So let's talk about Andrew's lot 13. So if this was 33 units, so he would, if this was implemented, he would have to have put a siren or a warning device in the middle of his complex. Is that correct?
If after analysis by the chief, it was sort of deemed that it was within an area that wasn't adequately served by the existing system.
Okay. So generally, the developments that are just by default not being served with the two existing, because there's probably going to be some developments that are going to be served by these two. So those ones would just then pay the $2,000 a door?
No, they would be within an existing coverage area and not be,
Okay.
you know, we would suggest that they're not contributing to the expansion of the system. This is really targeting areas that are well outside of the existing system.
Okay. I'm just a little nervous with knowing that we have, we've talked about amenities coming before us in 2027. We're talking about DCC's increase and then their potential, as much as we're welcoming people, that we're adding another possible, $1,000 to $2,000 a door. So I just want to say that out loud, that, it's great. I think it's needed. I just thought perhaps when I think about amenities and things like that, I would have just made just a preempt thought that perhaps it would be more into that. It's just we'll see where it takes us. I think it's really important to get a few more of these units in town, and I think we're very lucky, as you mentioned. The developer on High Focus there is committed to doing these kind of things, which is it's nice to see that. So I think I'm supportive of the policy. I'm just nervous that we're adding cost to potential some of the smaller developments that are probably not seen yet, because everything on this side is not serviced.
Absolutely. No, just say we did try to scale it so it doesn't, a small development isn't having to pay for a whole system.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would just also really want to reiterate that it is just a policy to guide staff in conversation, to guide council in consideration.
Okay.
But at any point, it could be waived through that rezoning process.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff?
I'll maybe throw one in real quick. Yeah, no, I think it's a terrific idea. And then I remember when we had I heard folks that heard the sirens up in Tofino at the last tsunami, the Russian tsunami that came in there, and you can definitely hear them when you're up there. They're quite loud, and there's definitely a couple of spots in town where you can't hear here. So I think this is overdue and needed. So it's a great idea.
And I think High Focus is a great spot for the next one too, because it is away from the other two sirens.
Yeah, I could vaguely hear it like up there, and sometimes you'll see tourists on paddle boards and they don't know it's a test, and they fall off the board usually. It's pretty spooky sound. Do you want me to? Can I make the motion?
Go ahead.
I'll move the council adopt the tsunami warning system for new development policy.
I'll second that.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed? That carries.
Mayor, we're just trying to get Councillor Mafty back on, so we hope to get back on here.
Do you want to take a short break?
It's up to council. We were hoping you would take a break at some point. We're making a lot of progress.
I can hear you guys just fine.
Okay, great. We've lost your visual, but we can hear you.
Oh, sorry, I was just texting with Richard. It's like flawless on my end, and for some reason my camera doesn't show up. But
Okay,
I'm here. I apologize for the tech.
yeah, we can see you now as well. Perfect. Okay. All right, the sixth report is titled Council Direction Regarding Comprehensive Development Zone CD4 and Whiskey Landing, and it will be also presented by Tyler Brown, Director of Planning and Strategic Initiatives.
Thank you, Mayor. I know Council is well aware of the property at 1671 Cedar Road, or the vacant parcel everyone kind of refers to as Phase 2 of Whiskey Landing. So as Council is also aware, there's been disagreement in zoning interpretation between the district staff and the development proponent for the parcel. This has been a longer standing disagreement, and the district's position is informed by our solicitor or our legal opinion on the parcel. And because we do have that opinion, that is the interpretation that we must take. We have been in conversation with the development the development proponent's been in conversation with the district for quite some time now. In my role, I've been in conversation with the development proponent since about the summertime, as we've tried to work through numerous items, but the sort of first order issue is the zoning disagreement or interpretation disagreement. So we're at the point where we need council direction to resolve the disagreement, as you're the body with the power to consider a zoning change. The simplest way to address the issue is to essentially remove a current 140 square meter per unit requirement for resort condo use or short-term rental use, because under that interpretation, which is the district's interpretation, only 8 units could be built that would be able to fluctuate between short-term rental and long-term rental. The proponent would like to preserve maximum flexibility with respect to a 23-unit concept they have developed. And by that, I mean that the type of units could be rented for either long-term use or short-term use, and that flexibility is present in the Phase 1 units. I do want to note in my report, I mentioned that the development proponent did bring up in conversations with myself that Phase 1, the zoning interpretation was being applied differently for Phase 1 as it was being for Phase 2. We did investigate that. The point of that comment was not to suggest that the development proponent was providing some sort of bylaw infraction complaint against the Phase 1 portion, only to acknowledge that the interpretation was being applied inconsistently, and that was not necessarily fair to the Phase 2 proponent. I will be meeting with the Strata Council, and we will be discussing ways to rectify that matter and bring that forward to Council in a separate report. That could come to head in all one report, depending on timelines, or it may not, and they might need to be dealt with separately, and we'll try to figure out the best way to approach that, depending on the different groups' timelines. Ultimately, if Council provides us direction to amend the zoning, we would bring we would bring back the bylaws, and it would be subject to a public hearing. And we just also I'd just like to thank the proponent, who has been useful in providing information as we try to untangle this item, and also just acknowledge that the OCP for that's the center does contain a variety of policies. Some speak to long-term residential, some speak to the vitality of that being a place for short-term rentals and a mix of uses. And sometimes when those policies are crafted, they cover a lot of ground, but they can also, as you start to get into the meat of the details on a zoning matter, sometimes appear to conflict. And that ultimately is a decision for Council to make on how we want to move forward. The recommendation in your report is to direct staff to bring forward bylaws for first and second reading. If that's passed, that would be a district-led, and like I said, there would be plenty of opportunity there through the public hearing process to hear from the community on the proposal. Happy to answer any questions, and I would just acknowledge that Fawn Ross is here on behalf of the proponent, and and she's here to answer any questions as well.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Brown. this has been a bit of a conundrum for a couple of years, and personally, I think this is a great way to solve the disagreement. I know that the proponent was not really looking for a rezoning initially, but this is a zoning amendment bylaw to remove that that restriction that says they can only have 8 because of the distance between all the different units. Anyway, I commend you on your work on this one for sure. Questions for staff?
Just going to echo what the mayor has said. This is a file that's been gone on way too long, and I'm happy that you found some resolve here to give them some paths forward so they can move on with it. So thank you.
Councillor Anderson?
Yeah, through the mayor. Not really so much of a question, but I would say that just recently I think Councillor Noel brought up a couple of really good points recently when we were talking about this, and it just drove the point home with me. Is that when we look at that location for short-term rentals, it actually is very amenable for that. It's right in the heart of that walkability, the village right in the center there. It's a great spot for it. If you're coming to visit Ucluelet, you're going to get the full experience being right off the Whiskey Dock right there. I think it's terrific. And we kind of went through an era where I feel like we didn't have a lot of building permits, and now we get to be in the situation where we have these pretty exciting developments and missing middle and rental only. So we've got things on the books coming now, whereas before I think we were really trying to see whatever we had, let's try and push long-term rental in there. And I think this one particularly, it makes sense to have as a short-term rental, or have those options for the owner. That makes sense to me. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that the location is perfect for that. It's interesting that a couple of the policies in the OCP do contradict each other as far as short-term and long-term goes in that particular zone. But yeah, I think being in the Village Square area is perfect for short-term, but they have the flexibility with this zoning amendment bylaw to do either or, long-term or short-term, depending on what the market is needing at the time. So yeah, I think it's a great solution to help move this project forward. And thank you for offering to meet with the Phase 1 strata because if the zoning is being applied unequally because of misinterpretation or whatever, it'd be great to clean that up. Councillor Mafty, anything from you?
I think at this point I have to approach this issue based solely on what we're trying to accomplish at this moment in time, which is to clear up what I think was really a technicality. And I feel that any debate about what will end up going in there, what might end up going in there is something that we can deal with later. For now, I would say that I support clearing this up. I think even if I don't necessarily agree with what a developer wants to do, I can definitely empathize with the frustration of feeling like, they're being held over a barrel by a technicality. So if we can clear that up and sort of move forward, I think that puts us all in a better position to sort of see what might come of it.
Absolutely. Seeing no other questions or comments, there's just one recommendation.
I would move that council direct staff to prepare a zoning amendment bylaw for the CD4 zone to remove the 140 meter per unit density restriction for resort condo use and establish a site-specific maximum density of 23 units for Phase 2, permitting both residential and short-term rental uses.
I'll second that.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries. Thank you. All right, the 7th report We're getting through these pretty quick, actually. The seventh report is titled Zoning Bylaw Refresh, Communications and Engagement Strategy, and it will be presented by Mr. Brown, Director of Planning and Strategic Initiatives.
Thank you, thank you, Mayor. You've already seen a draft of the communications and engagement strategy for the zoning bylaw refresh. This is just bringing it back for you for endorsement. The strategy outlines the approach to community engagement and sort of sets the goalposts in which we'll strive for throughout the process. It is not meant to be rigid, so if things do emerge, we can adjust and we can be nimble to adapt. With that said, as you're aware, we're on a very ambitious timeline with respect to the zoning bylaw refresh. I feel confident in the plan that Urban Systems has put together. We are not proposing significant changes to the zoning regime within the district, but rather looking into build more flexibility, adaptability, and modernization to make sure that it's very clear to all those involved what the regulatory regime is. So we're not having, like the last one, not having to constantly seek legal opinions for zoning interpretations, and finding ourselves in situations where it produces conflict rather than constructive paths forward as we look to implement the vision for the community. Just a couple key dates, or one key date I just want to acknowledge since we are in the open forum, is that there will be a community open house on February 23rd in this building from 3 to 7. We hope we get as many people as possible out to that, so we encourage council to, within your networks, to make that known, as that feedback is absolutely important. And undoubtedly feedback will come up that's not related to the zoning bylaw as well through that process, and if there's anything relevant, we'll of course document and make sure that it gets to the appropriate body within the district, and if that's council, make sure that feedback is at least documented for your consideration. The items of the open house will reflect a lot of your conversation at the committee of the whole. Those topics, they might not be the most super exciting topics, but they are relevant in zoning bylaws as we look to develop it. Happy to answer any questions, council, but like I said, you've seen it before. And the other item I will note is as we move through this process, we'll make sure that more and more of the content in the background material is on the project webpage. The district is currently developing the new engagement platform, and we're hoping to move to that quite quickly. We're just the communications department is just finalizing what that platform will look like, and the survey has launched, and you'll begin to see those communications out, looking to get the feedback through the survey as well. So, like I said, happy to answer any questions. And we're hopeful that you'll endorse the strategy as is, and we're proceeding with the engagement at the initial steps concurrently. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I actually thought the committee of the whole meeting was riveting. We got ambushed with some questions that we weren't expecting, like should everybody be able to keep bees, among other things. So yeah, no, I thought it was really interesting, and I really look forward to the community input and the survey. The survey is also on the website. Is that right?
That's correct, Mayor.
Great. Comments, questions from councillors? Councillor Anderson?
Just something weird. The number of people, when I tell them about this, they get excited that you would not think would get excited. Like I was talking to a fisherman the other day, and I said that we're redoing the bylaws. He's like, "Oh, thank God." He goes, it's just so hard to read. And I was like, really? Like, are you building? Like, why are you going through the bylaws? He's like, oh, every now and again I'll poke around in there. And I couldn't believe it. And I over and over again, people were telling me that they found it was really hard to go through the bylaws, and the idea that we're doing this and doing the refresh on this is, there's an odd number of people that were excited about this. So thank you.
Well, I think the last time it was updated was the turn of the century, so
It's been a while.
it's been a while.
Yeah.
And it's been band-aided together over the years, and so I think that's what's caused a lot of confusion and misunderstanding. So this is long overdue, and I'm excited about it. I think it's a great project.
Mayor, I said it was the turn of the millennia, so.
Close. Okay. Any other comments, questions for staff? Seeing none, there's just one recommendation.
I can do that.
Councillor Anderson?
I'll move the council endorse the zoning bylaw refresh communication and engagement strategy attached as Appendix A.
Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed. That carries. All right. The 8th report is titled Lot 13, Request to Amend Rental Housing Agreement and DCC Reduction, and it will also be presented by Mr. Brown, Director of Planning and Strategic Initiatives. This is a bit of your show tonight.
Not for much longer. I'm happy to finish on this one. Another project the council is well aware of. The development proponent, Andrew McLean, is here as well to answer any questions that council may have for him. A couple items to deal with in this report, and another item that we made you aware very recently regarding email for council to consider that's not dealt with in the report, and apologies for that. It was just we weren't able to capture it in time. The development proponent is very close to finalizing a subdivision, and we're just working through the final legal elements of that, and we hope to have the subdivision plan deposited shortly, and then to actually see some building permits on these lots. And as addressed earlier, the development proponent has been very gracious to work with us to see if we can develop a pilot project for with respect to waste management on site and the issues that are currently in the Euclid area with respect to bears. One item in the report, the developer has requested let me back up a little bit. In the summer there, the development proponent came forward requesting a change in the number of rental units. Council did grant that. Unfortunately, that was not congruent with the requirements of the BC Housing Funding Agreement. So the request before you is to align the amount of rental units within the development at 10 within the district's housing agreement that would also match the agreement with BC Housing. There's just a real practical element to this, to not always be fighting the incongruency between the agreements and trying to satisfy both. There may be a moment in time where that's possible, but you can imagine also scenarios where divergence would be very real and make it hard for the development proponent to satisfy both. And in addition to that, the development proponent has requested a DCC reduction under council's new DCC reduction bylaw for up to 50% of those rental units. The cost of that is in the report, and as we've discussed previously, that would not result in additional taxation or property taxation. That would be covered under the online accommodation platform funds that the district receives and has already been earmarked. 300,000 was earmarked for proposals such as this. Finally, in the report, the developer has requested that the housing agreement be amended to match BC Housing's term of a 10-year term. So there would be congruency there as well. That is the duration of the agreement with BC Housing. And that 10-year term also matches the requirement that council set in the DCC exemptions and reductions bylaw. So in terms of, is this proposal consistent with the requirements of that newly adopted bylaw, the answer is yes. And finally, the item that we informed you about last evening is with respect to the eligibility criteria for renters. Again, there was a lack of congruency between the district requirement and the BC Housing requirement. They were very similar. However, again, the difference in those and the lack of congruency could create issues with how they are satisfied and the ability of the rentals to actually be rented and the viability of finding eligible applicants based on those provisions. We did send you a motion if council wishes to provide that, and it's up on the screen. Thank you very much, Mr. Chow. I would just add that in the report, we had more time to go through some of these requirements, and those recommendations are before you. We're quite confident in. On the analysis of this, we don't see any issue with this change, and Mr. McLean can speak to any questions that council may have in regards to any of these items.
Thank you, Mr. Brown, for getting this onto our council agenda as a late item. That's I feel like we're cleaning up a lot of loose ends tonight in a lot of different directions here. Questions for Mr. Brown? No. I actually, for one, thought that we had done that late motion a while back because we talked about this. It feels like 2 years ago to amend the To amend the definitions of a qualified person instead of the UCLUET median to use the BC median, and I thought we had done that a year ago, but it's before us now, so that's all good. All right, I don't see any questions for. If you want to just go. Okay. All right. Okay. If you don't need to be asked any questions, then we're all good. So there are 4 plus the late one. If anybody wants to take those on. Councillor Anderson? Oh, I think Councillor Anderson is going to bow to you, Councillor Mafty.
It's up to you.
Oh, okay, perfect. I'm happy to do it. I'll start off with a recommendation that council rescind resolution number 2025. Oh, gotta start my video here, but I can't because the district is still screen sharing. If you can still hear me, I'll carry on.
We can.
That council rescind resolution number 2025.2289 and that, okay, hang on. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry, this meeting request to start my video is obscuring the agenda. There we go. That council rescind resolution number 2025.2289. That council support the request by ACMC Holdings to amend the covenant and rental housing agreement for the Lot 13 subdivision to reduce the number of lots that would be subject to the affordable rental housing agreement from 11 to 9. And I can move these together, I assume.
Separately, I'm told.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll leave it at that for now then.
I'll second.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing
I'll
none.
just jump in and say I'm not
Go
crazy
ahead.
about this, but I think we have to be pragmatic, and I think that the justification presented in the report makes it, this is kind of a no-brainer. There's not much of a choice. It's unfortunate, but it's the way it has to go. And like the mayor, I kind of thought that this had already been decided.
This isn't the one that I thought had already been decided, but that's okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought, anyway, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I thought we had already discussed the reduction of the lots, but at any rate, that's the recommendation. If it's seconded, I guess we can vote on it.
Well, we did, but this is rescinding that because BC Housing is not allowing 2 to be moved out of the rental
Right,
units.
but basically what we're doing is ultimately we're going to rescind that initial resolution and we're going to reduce the number of lots, right?
Reduce the number that is being taken out of the rental units.
Yes.
Yes, by 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, that carries.
I will move that council support the request by ACMC Holdings to amend the covenant and rental housing agreement for the Lot 13 subdivision to set the number of lots that would be subject to the affordable rental housing agreement at 10.
Second.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, that carries.
I will further move that council support the request by ACMC Holdings Limited to align the duration agreement with BC Housing's agreement, 10 years.
Second.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Councillor Mafty? Oh, are you there, Councillor Mafty?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can now. Are you in favor?
Yes, I am in favor. Aye.
Okay, so none opposed, that carries.
And I will finally move that council approve a 50% reduction in development cost charges, DCCs, for the 10 affordable rental units as per development cost charge reduction bylaw number 1385/2026.
Second.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, that carries. And then there is one late motion, which I can read. I will move that council support the request by ACMC Holdings to amend the Lot 13 housing agreement and covenant to amend the definition of qualified person to match BC Housing's gross household income thresholds.
Well, second.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, that carries. Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for being here. Great. Are there any notices of motion? All right, there are 3 correspondence items on the agenda. The first piece of correspondence is Eric Larson regarding street names. And this was on a previous agenda package, but you requested it to come back.
I did, because we were at the tail end of almost a 6-hour meeting, and I think we just brushed over it. You know, Eric's, for my eyes, Eric's a very well-respected man in the town. He's spent 25 years at the council table, and I think that, you know, we should be at least sending him a letter. And I think that we have street names that that are going to be coming up, and I believe people like him need to be a part of that. And you know, we brushed over it quickly. So the reason is I brought it forward because I think we need to. I would love to make the recommendation. We send him a letter, and then when we get into this street naming, I think it's important to, you know, almost have a committee of the whole or strike a road naming committee. Because if Mr. Brown's successful with some of the people in town, there are going to be some new names be put before the community here in the next 60 months or something. So I think we need to be thinking about it. And the reason that the whole road naming thing came up in the first place for me was the fact that there wasn't much thought about the names that we chose to pick, and it goes back to just a bit of a level of respect towards the guy here. I know I've run into him a couple more times, wondering what's going on. He may not agree with what happens at the table here, but I think a response letter acknowledging the letter, thank you, and and if you decide that you're going to do something a bit more, that we would welcome his feedback and involvement at some level.
So you'd like to make a motion to that effect?
Yeah.
Mr. Chow, do you...
Did you get that in all that ramble?
Can we rephrase the motion? Basically, we will send a letter to Eric and basically inform him, council will contact him if in the future establish a road name committee?
I think first part was to thank him for his years of service on council and his expertise and knowledge, local knowledge. And then the second part was to invite him to participate if we have a committee of the whole meeting to do with.
Yeah, the names. I think the reality is, when Eric's sitting in his living room watching these meetings, he's probably throwing things at the TV from time to time, and I know that our predecessors probably had names about streets, and he would question, where are those files? Where are those street names that we all talked about? And yes, I would like to see a letter of thank you, but I'd also like to see a little bit more clarity what his expectations are. I think just pushing it off, and we'll get back to you later, he probably has some validity behind what he's saying, and I think we just need to, not just honor the people that were before us here, because he's a great storyteller. If anybody knows Eric knows everything about town, and he knows why every street's been it's named in town, and I would really encourage him to maybe send us some more dialogue about some ideas, so we can actually know what he's talking about, rather than him being hot in the chair and sending us a letter that we don't know what we're doing. And so I guess that's the other half of the same letter. Thank you, and please give us some feedback regarding names, and because it would be really shameful that when names do come back up, and Eric Larson and again predecessors making the assumption that, hey, where's that file? Because he's told me there's a big file, and it's probably with the UFO file. But anyways, you guys had enough, Ed?
Yeah, I will draft the letter.
Okay, I will second that motion.
Thank
Mayor,
you.
if I could just add to that too, as council may not remember, this is still in draft, this policy, the road name
That's right.
policy. So we can also include in there that, we'll reach out to Mr. Larson, and if staff can meet with him prior to bringing back the final draft.
Great.
Any information on that.
And Mr. Brown, if you haven't met him, you just make sure you book 2 hours, because he has a wealth of knowledge. He's driving around town. He'll point out why the tree's there and why the signs are there. He's a great Bible to reference, to go back to why things are done. So I think that would also serve very well in the communication. So thank you. Thanks for seconding it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
The only thing that I would add is just that I think probably over half of this agenda are things that I think we'd have to acknowledge Mr. Brown and Mr. Harding, because I think there's a bunch of things that were on the agenda today that I think have been obfuscated over the years, and there was some influence of previous administration or whatever, and they made things kind of tricky, and it was sort of, there was he said, she said, and there was things happening, and now I think we've kind of come into an era of sort of clarity where we're working together, and there's aligned values, and for whatever reason the stars are aligning on a lot of these things. So I wanted to thank you guys for that. That was thank you.
Mm-hmm. I concur. All right. No further discussion. All in favor? Councillor Mafty, are you there? Okay. I'll say none opposed then, and carried.
Oh shit.
Oh.
I'm so sorry. Yes, I'm in favor. I'm sorry. It's acting up, and I don't know why. I'm sorry.
Or you fell asleep for a moment.
No, I didn't fall asleep. I've been following this attentively, but I've just got this spinning wheel of death, although I can still see the screen.
Well, we know you're far, far away, so that's okay. So that passed.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, the second piece of correspondence on the agenda is titled George Taylor regarding Hemlock Road construction. And who is presenting this?
Mayor, if you would,
Mr. Harding?
yeah, if George is coming up, George, Mike, Mr. Strain is on. He can actually do a bit of an update of what the project is. We have taken some of George's comments, Mr. Taylor's comments, which we could update a little bit more since he last met with Mr. Morrison. So if we could maybe have Mike do a quick presentation, and then you'd have that, you have a little bit of that information before you can explain some of your other concerns. At least you have a bit of an idea of what we're doing.
That's typically how we would do this, yes. Okay. Mr. Strain is on Zoom.
Yes, I'm here.
Ah, there you are. Welcome.
Thank you. I think there was a PowerPoint presentation that was going to be brought up here.
Can't hear anything.
Hello?
Yeah, he hasn't started yet. He'll start.
Yeah, we're just loading the PowerPoint.
Do you see the PowerPoint now, Mike?
I can't.
No, and I've been afraid to restart because I thought it would glitch again, but everything's frozen and I just see the shared screen. So maybe if you don't mind, you guys carry on and I'll just log out and I'll log back in again, and maybe that'll reset it.
Okay, we'll give that a whirl.
Actually, yeah, I can see the PowerPoint there in the background.
Okay, great. You go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, just a quick overview, hopefully, on the Hemlock sewer upgrade project schedule. So this project involves, replacement of the existing lift station and replacement of the existing lift station on Hemlock with a new lift station on Waterfront, replacement and upsizing of the existing gravity sewer main on Hemlock, installation of a new gravity sewer main and force main on Waterfront. So this is really like a single utility project with typical impacts associated with trenching, excavation, heavy machinery that you would see working in a community. Things like traffic pattern changes and noises from heavy machinery. So for this project, the planned working hours were set from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So the working hours were set from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. And we understand that a later start time would be preferred, and we have had some preliminary conversations with the contractor about relaxing the start time from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. That's following conversations with Mr. Taylor last week. So with regards to traffic impacts for this project, we anticipate having a detour on Hemlock through the harbor parking lot during excavation along Hemlock, and a closure of the road on Waterfront Drive during excavation on Waterfront Drive. Local access will be coordinated throughout by the contractor, and there is an alternate access to Waterfront Drive from Bay Street. If you go to the next slide, please. So this is just a colorful drawing with a sequence of the work. So the first step is to complete the pipe work and surface restoration on Waterfront. Next step is the remaining pipe work on Waterfront and lift station at the end of Waterfront there. So the sequence here was reviewed last week with the delegation, and we've since met with the contractor and made a few updates to try and mitigate some of the potential impacts and concerns that we heard. So we'll get into a little bit more detail in the following slides here. So we'll go to the next slide. So in yellow here shows the pipe work on Hemlock and Waterfront. So that's planned for the month of March. So the reason why we plan to stop halfway along Waterfront there is because the depth of excavation starts to get deeper, and a bigger machine is needed to complete the remaining pipe work. So this work was in the contractor's initial plan to complete in April, and we've asked that it be moved to March following discussions with the delegation. It's likely to be a couple weeks of installation of pipe and manholes, then a day or two to prep the surface for paving, and then another day to pave. So contractors allowed basically a month for this work. So if we go to the next slide. So this is the month of April, no planned work. And if we go to the next month, May, next slide. So the planned work for May is to complete the remaining pipe work on Waterfront and install the lift station wet well. This work is at significant depth, approaching 7 meters or 23 feet at the lift station. The reason for the May start, which is later than intended in the contract, is due to the lead times of the wet well package. The wet well package is currently slated to arrive in May, but if it arrives sooner than anticipated, it would be possible to start the scope of work sooner. Next slide. So the month of June, the plan is to commence the lift station electrical and commissioning. So no work is planned for the first half of June. It would be more towards the end of June that the lift station electrical and commissioning is planned. So the start of this work is also tied to lead times of the electrical equipment. And if the equipment is received earlier, this work could start earlier. This work is relatively low impact to residents. Next slide, please. So the month of July, at the beginning of July, some of the lift station electrical and commissioning will be ongoing. And then once the lift station's commissioned, we can complete the tie-ins, which are those blue dots you see on the map, if you can see that. Hopefully you can. So they're basically point excavations, typically shallower, that the contractor will work their way through over about a week to 2 weeks. And then once the system's tied in, the sewer will be flowing towards the lift station. Lift station will be in operation, and then the existing lift station can be decommissioned.
But Mike, if I could just interject on that one. So the decommissioning on the blue of the lift station, that's you're going to leave that in place though until later on in the year, weren't you?
Well, the lift station essentially remains in place. It's abandoned in place. It could be left to complete later on in the year. Yeah, it's basically the pipes, the inlets and outlets that go to and from that lift station need to be plugged and capped, and then the lift station gets filled, and then it's cut off at the top and backfilled and restored, surfaces restored. So it's not an overall lengthy process. I anticipate that this scope of work would be, in the neighborhood of a week to 2 weeks in July.
Is this thing that's just that's in front of the hotel? Just what kind of impact would that be at that time then?
The impact, yeah, it would basically just be digging down to plug the inlets and outlets, and then backfilling. So I would say like a day to 2 days tops at that one location.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Next slide, please. So the final step is to install the generator once it's received. And similar to the electrical scope, it's relatively low impact. There will be some type of a HIAB or a crane truck that comes along to offload that into position. And then the last slide. So this is just a overall summary. Yeah, and if there's any questions, happy to take questions.
I have a question.
All right.
I don't think your mic is on.
Oh, okay. Is that working?
That sounds better, yeah.
Oh, thank you for your presentation and your illumination of your vision of this prospect. First of all, it seems like you're trying to minimize the amount of traffic and impact it will have on my hotel, George Taylor, the Bayshore Waterfront Inn. You're kind of leading us to the assumption that you're going to try, and you told me this in our private conversation, you'll try to get that finished by the 15th of May on both sides of my hotel for a quick hookup. And then you've kind of alluded that we'll cover it up and it won't be as impacted. Well, the only way to get to the proposed site of the new sump and the pump is to drive right by my building, my hotel, 42 feet on the waterfront side with trucks, excavators, etc. You also mentioned that because of this phase 2, as it is, of installing the pump, you're going to have to go to heavier equipment, excavators. I would ask the council, and you're not here, so I apologize for that, to kind of look out the door here. And you can see what I'm facing, what my wife and I are going to have to go through. And what happens if it rains right here, right now? This is going to be a muck hole. It's horrible. And an observation occurred to me today. Information came my way, secondhand from some village people who were there. And maybe you can correct me in this, please, Don. That sump hole is over 60 feet deep. Is that correct? The one you're going to build to put the new tank in, that's 60 feet deep, correct?
That's a question to you, Mike. It's Mike Strange, so Don's done.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So Mike is the project manager.
Oh, Mike, that's 60-foot deep hole you're digging there. That's why you need that big excavator, isn't it?
No, it's upwards of 7 meters deep, so 23 feet.
Excuse me, I'm not an engineer, but standing on that hill, I can see. I've been involved in many sites in my life and developments in about 4 different countries. And that spot, even to where my sewer is, my street, is not 23 feet. That sump's going to have to be at least 40 to 45 feet deep to be below where the sewer intake is to the hotel, to my hotel, to stop the backflow from backing into my hotel, without a doubt. But in any case, I'm not an engineer. I didn't come here to talk about the aspects of the technical aspect of what is going on here. May I continue what I came here for? I'm done with him.
Yes. Well, actually, Mayor, did you have council have any questions of Mike before the delegation or the person that's questions on this?
Questions for Mike, Mr. Strain? Yep. Councillor Noel.
Mike, thank you for the report, and I do appreciate the clarity of your proposed timeline. I had a couple questions, in particular from where the boat basin sign is, towards West Coast Motel. You got the lovely yellow line. There's an open ditch. When you complete the work, do you see that open ditch being completed to add more parking to the area?
I don't currently see that in the plan. The plan is to restore it like for like there. So it would be, if the ditch is impacted by that excavation, it would just be replaced as a ditch in the present design.
Okay. And the paving that would reoccur, then you would just, you're not going to pave the whole road. You're simply going to just do some spot paving to wherever you guys dig up the asphalt. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Could I just add on to that? There's a plan to come to pave at the end of March, following all the work you see in yellow. And then there's another plan to come back and pave at the end of the tie-in work. So the site will be left in a much more orderly fashion than if the contractor just waited till the very end to pave.
Okay. And I know you guys have a paving budget, but the reality, Hemlock's a very terrible road, right? So I was just wondering if there was going to be an opportunity to do a little bit of housekeeping and a facelift to the road, especially where you're working and adding a bit of parking to the open ditch. And I know George is going to get to it, but I'll get to that right now. It's the fact is, I cringe at the fact of the thought that there's any kind of work being proposed past the May long weekend. George has 0 renters in his parking lot right now, and he's got about 90 days to make some money because he loves spending money. And I know that, Mike, that we're subject to waiting for electrical components and wet wells, and I'm very familiar with that lift station at Hemlock Street. I just want to say that I'm sure that whatever work that's necessary, it's very important. We all know that. But I find it very troubling to think that in June and July and August, perhaps one of our last 7 fishing summers we're going to have before the Fed shut us down, that he's going to be exposed to that, including the entire community, when pushing this off until into September. I understand your contractor's got a lot of work in town, and that saying, I would have preferred to see this all done by May long weekend. And going into July and August, What's your property tax bill this year? What was it?
It's right. This year I don't know. Last year it climbed up to 23,000.
And
10-room hotel.
yeah, I know.
Not the Taj
I
Mahal.
get it. Commercial taxes. Anyways, I just I know, Mike, you're doing it. I would just say that I like the first 2 months. And not seeing any work plan for April. And George, you can't ask for a better support of your case right now. What's going on outside? And if you're a family of 10 people coming here trying to work and they run into problems, which they will, this is a guarantee. And you can't ask for it better. So you might have plotted that. So good job. I don't want to personally. I think we need to really look at this plan. And even if they only do the work until May, and you guys roll the dice and have to have a spare pump on your shelf in order to let George get till the end of September, is my opinion. I don't think there's any he should be experiencing any kind of hardship to his business. And because again, Hazelwood does great work, but they're here on piecemeal to do their work. And I think that Howlers and other restaurants in this community have been negatively affected with infrastructure work because we didn't adhere to any kind of timelines. For some reason, everybody wants to be here when the salmon are here. And I think it's a bad plan. I think the work is necessary, but I also think that we need to push this off. Having him come up here and go red, to go like this can't happen. I'm one of those. This can't happen. There should be no after May. There should be no activity. And if that means that Brent needs to go buy another $10,000 pump to put into the Public Works van, that's what we're talking about. Just failing pumps. And yeah, no. I'm 100% supportive of the project, but not supportive of especially the blank work in April. We got 28 days to do a lot of work in that month. So I know you're the PM, Mike. I just hopefully you can bring back to the contractor. With Richard, maybe there's an opportunity to look at this, but there is no room down there to do any kind of work. And those guys have big shoulders. By the time there's usually about 30 boat trailers parked in that parking lot where they're going to do the generator, and it's just bad timing. And I would have lived until bullshitted George and said I lived till the end of May, but going this long is something that we really need to look at the plan. Go ahead there, Richard.
Yeah, Mayor, to all is that. Just a little bit of background, and then I have an idea that potentially could give council some options here. So if council recalls, one of the reasons why this has been fast-tracked and moved is that we were supposed to have all the sewer projects done in anticipation of a potential development coming online in May, which we needed this work done for. So that work's not going to happen now. For other reasons, that project's not proceeding as planned. What we can do is work with Mike and come back to the next council meeting with some options, of which will have some costs associated with it, to look at what's some options available on this particular contract.
I think
and
that's
Mike,
a great idea.
Mr. Strain, outside the excavators are working right now, so it's an example of some impact. So that's what they're referencing. So, Mayor, that's what I have right now.
May I ask Mike one more question?
Go ahead.
Hey, Mike, do you see any reason why this cannot be postponed till fall?
I was just going to comment on that. And also Richard alluded to postponing maybe some of the work like that in front of the hotel there, that decommissioning of the lift station. Perhaps, the tie-ins and the decommissioning of the lift station could be pushed to the fall. I wouldn't recommend the deeper excavations planned for May, pushing that to the fall. It's just not a spot you want to be in when the season turns and the rain picks up. I'd much rather be approaching the drier months with the deeper excavation there.
I'm sorry, I might have confused you with my question. I didn't ask you about the different segments that you're proposing. I asked you if this whole proposal can be put off, because you're impacting two major hotels, their parking of their boats, as the mayor said. I have to close my hotel in April, and I already have my July and August 75% booked. You don't see a reason why we cannot post because it's going to rain, you're telling me. This is Ucluelet. I mean, you're certain. I know you know that. It rains every damn fall.
I think Mr. Harding has come up with a proposal to come back to us with options. Is that correct?
That's correct. Mr. Strain was going to do an update on the overall project at the next meeting. What we can do is talk what are options available to council if you do want to delay this project. There will definitely be costs associated with it. Then we can propose that to you then.
I can't hear you.
Sorry, but there would be.
Because the machine's out.
Yeah.
You win, George.
But it's getting done. It's getting done.
It is.
And to think you didn't spend $450 a night to sleep here.
Okay, I think we have a path forward for our next meeting. So, and I agree. If I owned that hotel, I would not put up with this outside my door during. It is progress, but it's fine right now. It's February, but in the summer, I would not put up with that. So. We hear you, and we'll come back with some options for you.
Can I give my little speech while I'm here? I would appreciate it.
I think we have it. I think we have it.
I'm not reading from that. I want to kind of appeal to your sense of business and your loyalty to the business community here.
I think we understand.
So you don't want to hear me.
We hear you.
I came here for nothing.
We hear you loud and clear. No.
I don't think you have listened to me.
Yeah, I just agreed
with you. I haven't
with
spoken yet. I was just addressing some of these issues, the ifs, and what if we did that, and if we get the parts. That wasn't part of what I wanted to mention to the folks here. I didn't want to mention how much I've invested in this community, my wife and I, and that we are booked. We book a year ahead of time. We will close. We've committed to closing April 15th if this project even begins to go. We have to. I can't sell a person a room for $450 a night with this going outside their door. And my hotel's for sale right now. Judy Gray, thank you. And what's going to happen to the price of my hotel? So I knock a couple, 200 or 300K off. So I lose 350K on this one. I mean, we don't want this to go further. None of us want to see this thing progress into legalese BS, and it's not necessary, and it really isn't. And thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Godspeed.
Thank you, George. Thanks for coming down. So, do we need some sort of motion, Mr. Harding, for Mr. Strain to come back with options at our next meeting?
No, I think we've got enough
You're okay?
staff direction. We were going to come back anyway. If we don't make it for the 2 weeks, which I think we will, we'll make sure it's in for the next one.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Mr. Strain, for being online to answer our questions. All right, there's no information items, so we're on to council committee reports. I will just make one announcement. The Historical Society is having a dinner on Monday, which is a holiday family day, here at the community center. Did it get put into the main hall, Miss Fortune? It did. Okay. It's a BC Heritage Month in February, or week. I guess it's BC Heritage Week. And so they've the Historical Society have put together sort of a flashback to the Fisherman's Ball, which used to take place here. You would probably remember that, Councillor Noel. And last I heard, it was sold out. But yeah, if you know somebody that has a ticket and you want to go, I'm sure bribes will be accepted. And so that's kind of an exciting event, and I was lucky to phone and get my name on the list, so I will be there. So council committee reports. Councillor Anderson, what have you been up to?
Did you buy a painting last year at that ball? Was it the Fireman's Ball? No.
Oh, that was the Praz and the fire department.
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was a summertime thing.
That's a different one. Yeah. No, I'll go quick. In January 28th, we had a special committee of the whole that you talked about earlier with, met with Urban Systems to talk about redoing, fixing up our bylaws. And that was a great session. So the direction that we could go there, and we were able to guide that one. And then not too much else. This in February, was it the 3rd? I had a meeting with the Pacific Seaweed Industry Association, and Jordan Hawkswell connected me, and I finally met Tom Campbell from West Coast Kelp, and yeah, we discussed sort of like the gaps and with kelp supply out here, and basically the economics of it and what the supply chains are suffering from out here. So we're considering putting together an organization for different kelp companies to have some sort of oversight. So we're chatting about that. And then later on that day was the committee of the whole for grant and aid. And on Thursday the 5th, I had a meeting with that High Focus, or the Acoustics team, to talk about High Focus development, and we went over some of the drawings, and that's it for me.
Great, thank you. Councillor Hoare is not here tonight. Councillor Mafty, you are back.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, amazing. Not much to report. Obviously, the budget meeting last week. Other than that, I've been out of town. I just wanted to mention my mic had been cut out, but just as a point of order regarding that last discussion, can I go back and make a brief comment on that, or is that agenda item done and dusted for now? I shouldn't say agenda item, that correspondence item.
Yeah, go ahead.
My feelings about whether the which side is right, what we should do, are completely notwithstanding. I'm just a little bit concerned if we have correspondence items on the agenda that turn into a debate between council, or a discussion between council and staff, and where we have individuals that are basically petitioning council to consider district business in light of how it's going to affect one particular business. I'm not saying that these aren't valid concerns, but I think that we have a process and a protocol that we should follow to deal with them, and I'm a little bit concerned that wasn't necessarily followed in the way that we dealt with that last correspondence item. But that's just, like I said, a point of order, so we don't need to discuss it any further. I don't have any other events to report on my end.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Councillor Mafty. Councillor Noel.
I did attend an accessibility committee meeting a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, he finally got me into a meeting, and we have another one in a couple of days here. I just want to put you all on notice, and I think back to Richard and his team. Accessibility comes in different ways, but I think that in my just short little meeting, I joined them late there at the tail end. I think us as a community, Public Works need to, if things are built accessible, we need to maintain them accessible. And I think, I've been over that with you, Richard, and just trying to, and making sure that we just, I hope that we can support our committee here with some funding here, because we're going to be coming out with something in the summertime, and understanding that there will be some outcomes of it, and it would be nice to be able to go back to the committee and actually have some reactionary work, rather than it just be something that gets filed because we need to check the box off. So I'm glad to be on the committee and give them a bit of a voice, and I think that they're a good group of people. So a couple days. And am I correct? You hope to have this completed by the summertime? Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you, Councillor Noel. For myself, January 28th, I had Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Committee of the Whole meeting. There were two items on the agenda. One was looking at pool reno options for their public swimming pool. And although it doesn't really affect us unless some of the locals here go to the swimming pool in Port Alberni, it was interesting to see the options of full renovation versus sort of Band-Aid fixes. So that was interesting. And the other item was even more interesting. It was looking to develop a volunteer management framework for parks and trails. I guess in Port Alberni, there's quite a few trails, like the Log Train Trail, where users have been just upgrading the trail, and ATV users have been, cutting up trees as they fall across the road, and it's not really maintained by the municipality. And so staff came up with 4 options on how to manage the volunteers that are helping maintain the parks and trails. Everything from informal to having individual contracts with people, to having a formal community group managed program, and to having a formal staff managed program. So those were the 4 options. And I just thought it was interesting because, of course, there are people that want to volunteer to help do things, and they aren't necessarily trained, and they don't necessarily have the right steel-toed boots and whatnot. So it was a really interesting conversation. And I believe we chose the formal community group managed program of those 4 options. And then that afternoon was the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board meeting. The most interesting item I thought on that was the Tloquit First Nation want 3 names changed for 3 areas in their territory. They want the northern portion of Chesterman Beach changed to, and I'm not going to try and I can pronounce it, Nanakua. That's the northern portion of Chesterman Beach. They want to officially change the name of Kennedy Lake to Ha'ukman. And they want to change the official name of Mears Island to Wanachas Hilhuis. And so this came before us at a previous meeting, and there were a lot of questions because it was a referral basically from the Ministry of Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sport, from the BC Geographical Names Office and the Heritage Branch, and looking for a letter of support. And there were just a lot of questions, like why did they pick those 3 particular spots to have the names changed? Was there some historical relevance that was not appropriate for them to have those names the way they read today? So I did ask that question at the meeting, and the topic was put on hold until we got more answers from the ministry, and so they came back with quite a lot of detail as to why those 3 areas were chosen and why they want the names changed to something that's in their language. The question was asked about how much this would cost, because signage would have to be changed, and maps and GPSs, and it was a really interesting discussion. In the end, I know the District of Tofino gave their official letter of support, and the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District did as well. So thought that was the most interesting part of that meeting. And then later that day was our committee of the whole meeting for our zoning bylaw review. February 2nd was Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Personnel Committee meeting, and that was just regarding they're starting their negotiations with CUPE, which I think we will probably do the same in the not too distant future. February 3rd in the morning, I was at Forest Glen with Alison Orr, and she is the Director for Long-Term Care and Assisted Living Contracted Services through the Ministry of Health, Island Health. And it was a fairly well-attended meeting. There were some residents of Forest Glen there. There were also some individuals who work with hospice and a variety of other societies that work with the elderly. And I guess the crux of the matter is that Forest Glen is no longer an assisted living facility because of Island Health's new guidelines. To be classified as an assisted living facility, they would have to have staff on site 24 hours a day, and there's no budget for that for them. So they had a few assisted living residents there, and they have since been moved to other facilities with increased levels of care. So it was an interesting discussion, very passionate discussion from a lot of people who really want our seniors to age in place and not be moved out of town when their health deteriorates. Councillor Anderson, I was really hoping you could be there, but I know you were at an equally interesting meeting too that morning. And then later that day was our committee of the whole meeting, where the societies came to present their reasons for their grant and aid applications. And then February 5th in the morning was the Resort Community Collaborative Mayors. That's the 14 of us mayors that are in resort municipalities. We meet the first Thursday of every month on Teams. And because the majority of the resort municipalities are ski resorts, they had a lot of tears being shed about this condition of the ski season this year. Tofino and Ucluelet and I guess Harrison are not in that same boat, but the other mayors were saying that, their ski hills opened on Christmas Eve, and most of them were closed at this point in time of this meeting. A lot of seasons pass holders are asking for their passes to be extended so they can at least use the mountains for other reasons, go mountain biking or whatever. I guess the mountain biking shops are doing quite well right now because there's no snow. And that was it for my meetings. So we're now moving on to question period. This is an opportunity for the public to ask questions and comment on matters within Council's jurisdiction. Representations about bylaws that Council is prohibited from holding a public hearing on, or bylaws that were subject to a public hearing, are not permitted at this time. Are there any audience members that wish to address Council? Ms. Gray.
Judy Gray, 2349 Tofino Ucluelet Highway. A couple of things over and above George's concerns about his motel. I am more concerned about, or as concerned about, the other businesses and the traffic in the area, the boat basin, the fish cleaning station, the we still call it the Jap Dock, the entrance into Island West, and the large vehicles that can't go down the hill at Bay Street. The amount of boat trailers that are parked in behind the old Island West Motel there. The timing, as badly as we need this job done, I recognize it needs to be done. The timing is just the worst, and it's not just George, it's all the other businesses and the tourists and the parking. I mean, you can't even drive through hardly that boat basin parking lot. So, it's going to be a nightmare down there. I mean, these guys work till dark tonight. And, I've got them across the street from my office right now. It's very, I have to go home because I can't stand the noise, Anyway, I just wanted to make those comments about that. I have recently been talking to the Tofino Hospital Foundation, and that was unbeknownst. I didn't know anything about the project that was in front of the province at the moment that's just been rejected. One of my main concerns was aging in place. Another big concern is the site. There's a site in Tofino that that's owned by the Boddings that I happen to currently have listed for sale. Irrelevant to that, I can't stop thinking about what a great site that is for a new hospital, because it's out of the tsunami zone. It's with a new infrastructure that's gone in up there. It's a straight shot off the highway to access up the hill to get onto the site. It's big enough. There's enough lack of forest there, that the helicopters aren't going to have a hard time landing. It's a really great site for a new hospital. And in my discussions there with Arlene McGuinness and with with Jen Dart from the foundation, the hospital foundation, there's very little to zero participation from the citizens of our community, and that's our hospital as much as it's Tofino's hospital. And I think that we need to have a push in Ucluelet to get more involved with replacement of the Tofino Hospital, because it's for all of our benefits, and we're leaving Tofino residents to sit on that board, and they're screaming for our participation. They really want us to help. So I thought I'd bring it up at the meeting tonight. I don't know what we can do as other than encourage citizens to sit on the board. But I think it's really important that we get louder, especially now that the project's been rejected, and that we've lost our care at our assisted living at Forest Glen. That's just horrible, and we just don't have anywhere for our seniors to go. So it was part of the new hospital plan. So anyway, thank you very much for listening to me.
So, just so you know, the ACRD is having a hospital meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'd encourage you to Zoom into that. And I can't attend. I have a conflict, another meeting to go to. But the ACRD is spearheading an option to host a mayor's, chairs, and chiefs regional meeting at AVICC to have a regional voice for the hospital. And so it's not just Tofino that's pushing for it, because really it is a regional hospital for the coast. And so that's in the works. I know the province said no to the latest rendition of what was proposed, which was sort of a campus of care, is what they were calling it. And the province rejected that last proposal. So that's why the ACRD is kind of stepping in and trying to organize something that more regional to have more voices at that table, because it is really important. And you're right, it's our hospital as much as it is Tofino's. So I'd encourage you to Zoom in you can't speak during the meeting, but there will be a question period just like there is here at the end that you would be welcome. Yeah, similar to our meetings, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, people on Zoom won't be able to hear you because you're not at the mic, but yeah, I can send you the link actually when I get home. I'll forward you the link to the hospital meeting. Would you like it as well? Okay, Councillor Anderson, I'll send it to you as well. Yeah. Would anyone else in the audience like to speak? Patricia?
It's still on. Patricia Sieber, 1058 Helen Road, High Focus Island. First, I don't want to be here because you've heard from me so often before, and I will save my comments and my further comments for the public hearing. I just wanted to say one thing. All of their presentations, and they're beautiful, and if it were in another place, I might say, this is a great concept. But it's on High Focus, and we all know that High Focus is a small place with a very narrow access. And so what I'm going to ask is that if you haven't walked Helen Road, if you haven't actually walked on High Focus, I'm not sure if Councillor Mafty has ever actually physically walked there. I would like for you, I'm sure that Councillor Noel has, and I'm sure that Anderson has, and probably Marilyn. it's not flat. All the maps show it is flat. All of their presentations have been on flat maps, flat pieces of paper. If you're going to do what they want to do on High Focus, you're going to have to change it. It's not, you can't put all of those houses there without a lot of blasting, without a lot of deforestation, even if there is going to be a buffer. I would like you to walk down Helen Road and picture it without the rhododendrons, without the trees, with possibly a rock wall over here on the upper side where the trees are now, and picture what that will be like if we go ahead with what we're doing. So before you make your final decision, try to picture what High Focus will look like if we go ahead. So that's enough about High Focus. I was just going to add that unfortunately, I'm helping with the food for the dinner next Monday. Unfortunately, we were set to only have 60 people, so that's what we've got food for. But they decided this afternoon that if somebody wants to come and listen to the presentations, they're welcome to come in around 6:30. So the public can come, even if they don't have a ticket for the dinner, they can come for the presentations.
Well, that's good information. Thank you for that.
The other thing was, what time is the ACRD meeting?
The hospital meeting?
Yes.
Is at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Okay, 10 o'clock. Can you send me the link as well?
I can send you the link as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patricia. Would anyone else in the audience like to speak? That's okay. People won't hear you unless you're at the mic, so. We all agreed, yes. Thank you
Can't
for
really
your
hear
thank you.
anything, just so you guys know.
Yeah, no. S did not want to go to the microphone. She was just thanking us for our motion about Gaza. Yeah, it's just Councillor Mafty can't hear you. That's all. Yeah. Okay, and so nobody else in the audience would like to speak. Are there any members of the public attending by Zoom or telephone that wish to address council?
No, there is not.
And have we received any emails to communityinput@ucluelet.ca?
No, we have not.
We have not. Okay, so I will move that the February 10th, 2026 regular council meeting be adjourned at